Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Bucket Ponds. My name is Terry, and today we are saying goodbye to one of our favorite aquariums. This was a pretty tough call for me, but the 2.5 gallon pond in a jar style aquarium simply failed. I neglected my detritus worms. I did not feed them as often as I should have at one point. They all disappeared. Paramecia took over. Eventually the tank was overrun with red algae and became entirely toxic for everything except for Ostracods, Paramecia, and mothfly larvae. Yeah. And as per my agreement with my wife, I cannot raise any flying insects indoors. So today we are unveiling, for the first time ever here at Bucket Ponds, I've taken a tank outside. I've dumped it all into a catch-all pond style aquarium out there. Don't worry about that. But I scrubbed it all up. I cleaned it up nice as I could. I brought it back inside, I planted it, and I've decided to build this beautiful pond snail paradise. Now, there are bladder snails in here as well, but this tank, the main goal is to raise up a couple big pond snails, along with a few small bladder snails, and just to do things a little differently than we did before. I want to create the optimum conditions for a jar pond, or a jar aquarium. But in this case, it's about a gallon of water, roughly. It's a little bit larger. There's more of a surface area for the water. I've left a significant portion of dry land, air anyway, for the snails to get up on the walls and do their thing. Sometimes they like to climb out of the aquarium, so we're trying to work with them and give them a place to climb up and do stuff and get back to the water. Now you can see here on the right side, I have added some nice stones and things in the background to build up this side. This is right here at the intended water level, but when I added samples from other aquariums, it of course added a little extra water. Over time that will evaporate pretty quickly, and we'll get to our desired water level of right about here. Now it is a brand new aquarium, so it looks a little steamy up top, of course. But underwater here, you see that I planted it with Dayflower. Those skinny leaves there in the foreground. The larger arrow-shaped leaves are Nitella, which I also planted in this aquarium. And you see here my Nitella macroalgae, which is one of my favorite things in the whole world. I've also added a little bit of bladderwort just to get it going. It turns out bladderwort can be very useful in these types of projects. Now here the tank does look a little bit red, but that's mostly this light on top. You can see it's actually a pretty clear aquarium. The stones inside were a large local stone, which I cannot identify, and some marble chunks from HomeDepot. The garden section, cheap and effective. As far as my sand goes here, this is HomeDepot pool filter sand by Quickrete. Very cheap also. You have to wash it a couple times, but otherwise it's pretty nice. Works well for these types of projects. And I've noticed that snails like to burrow down into the substrate occasionally. So we've given them a soft substrate here. There are some marble chunks down underneath the sand, just for good measure. I use marble chunks because it adds calcium to the water, which is useful for the snail shells. See them like grazing on the marble chunks, eating the algae, or possibly eating little bits of the powder of the stone. It's hard to say. Their teeth are very strong. Here you can pretty much see what I'm going for with the land portion. As the water level dips a little bit, there'll be more land for them to explore. But bladder snails and pond snails, I believe, they both have lungs, and they can breathe air, so they will occasionally come out of the water and, lay eggs on the surface or just explore a little bit. And maybe they're looking for other bodies of water, I'm not sure. But in order to prevent them from trying to escape the aquarium, I am providing them with a land portion right here. This is a perfect example. We have a bladder snail up out of the water, climbing around on the surface of the container on the inside. Just like we talked about, he's exploring, he's coming up to lay eggs. I don't really know what he's doing, but he definitely seems to have an egg clutch attached to him, like attached to his back. Oh look, a little bladder snail just came out. Whoa. They don't have live birth. So I'm not sure what that was about, but he definitely just emerged from that guy. Oh, is he laying the eggs right now? Are we watching eggs being laid? That would be amazing. I've never actually seen that happen in person. Those are definitely eggs on his back. Yeah, this is cool. I've never seen anything like that, but he's towing eggs on his back. We've seen that a few times, but he came out of the water, and a little bladder snail climbed out of his shell, which is pretty cool. That definitely did not hatch from those eggs, though. That was a fully formed bladder snail. When they're about that size, they're pretty much ready to breed. That little one that came out of his shell up there, yeah. You can also see some Mudmidget there. Those green leafy things stuck on the glass. The bladder snails are going to bring that up to the surface occasionally. Oh look, we even have a water mite. One tiny water mite is right there. That's a good sign. I was hoping to include some of them. I did bring samples from other aquariums into this project exactly for that reason. Water mites are useful, and I've never had a problem with them. They are actually arachnids. They're like spiders. They're underwater spiders, and different species will eat different things. They seem to like duckweed, and I'm okay with that. We can grow plenty of duckweed. And yeah, more friends, more mites and things, that's great. As long as they're not any kind of parasite. That's my only real rule. No parasites, no flying bugs. Outdoors, we can have dragonflies and all sorts of things all day. But yeah, we have water mites here. Now I should note that this is, an attempt to resemble a natural pond. This is not like a traditional fish tank. I have no interest in setting up a clean aquarium. I have no interest in buying expensive fish, okay? I'm here to make little ponds and to play with my snails and to grow more little creatures like the water mite that we saw just a second ago. So as a final step, I am going to include some new friends. That's right, our Tubiflex Worms seen in the recent update videos. I love Tubiflex Worms. They're creepy, and they make pretty cool mats up on the surface, like on plant stems and anything sticking out of the water, so I think they'll enjoy the little bit of rocks and things that I've included in here. I'm going to use my trusty DIY pipette, which is a little dirty nowadays, but yeah, that's what happens when you play with this stuff. I like to document this kind of thing so you know exactly what went into here. Here they go. There we go. Some of our Tubiflex Worms. Also, you see a lot of Paramecia and even a few Ostracods are in here. There's appears to be a limpet snail or something there as well. But I have fallen in love with our new Tubiflex Worms, and they do make really cool, like, weird colony monsters up on the surface of the water, so I figured they would be a good match for this tank. Hopefully the bladder snails don't eat them all, but you know, you can't put anything past them. Hopefully that background noise does not come through on my video, which would be very upsetting and unnecessary. But that's life. But yeah, Tubiflex Worms, all of our micro creatures. We do need some time for this tank to develop properly. But I'm going to go ahead and feed them with a slice of cucumber. I'm going to give you one look up the surface so you can see what it's like. And give our Tubiflex Worms here a chance to settle down. Yeah, I'm very happy with this project. These are commonly available, like at Walmart and stuff. Anybody can get one. And they do have a lid. Lids are important if you're going to keep bladder snails or pond snails in an aquarium. You can see them there. Just because things will try to escape. Your snails will try to climb up out, and if you have other fish tanks nearby, they might even try to get to them. So be ready for that. Keep a lid on your tank. But do allow it to receive some fresh air every now and then. I don't run any kind of filters in these aquariums, and I don't think that they need one. The plants do a good job as long as you provide the right conditions. And there's a look at the surface of the tank, just so you get a gist of the project. I was not able to get this algae off the back wall, but I think it'll be okay. The snails might tear it up a little bit. You can see some streaks where things have already eaten on it a little. And to answer a couple questions from previous videos, I haven't dealt with ram's horn snails too much, so I don't know which would breed faster than bladder snails. Between the bladder snails and the pond snails, bladder snails definitely breed way faster. Pond snails take a while to get going. Once they do, they can keep up, they can maybe even outcompete the bladder snails. But in the short term, yes, your bladder snails will breed faster than pond snails. Ram's horns, I don't know too much about them, but I would like to get some. If you have some and you would like to send them to me, please contact me here or on the Facebook page. And you'd have to, of course, ship them legally. That's up to you. But I'm more than willing to accept a couple ram's horn snails to get my project started. And you would be responsible for fathering many generations, and we'd be eternally grateful. You would, of course, receive a shout out on any video we made with those snails. Anyway, guys, this is the Bucket Ponds channel. My name is Terry, and this is our brand new Pond Snail Paradise Aquarium. 2.5 gallons, planted with sand, stone, marble chunks, and all the plants that I've listed above and in the description, as well as the creature list and anything else that might be relevant to the aquarium. If you enjoy, please like and subscribe. And remember, if you're keeping these snails at home, definitely get yourself a lid. You gotta have some kind of lid on your aquarium. Doesn't have to be airtight, just has to discourage the snails from leaving the aquarium altogether. So, yeah. Have a great day, guys. If you're setting up a similar aquarium, I highly suggest leaving a little land portion.